Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, and today I'm hanging out with
Nerdarchy Dave.
And today we're going to D&D discussions on languages.
Head down the description below where you can find Nerdarchy the newsletter. Learn how to game with us as well as gain RPG tips delivered to your inbox.
So we got a viewer suggestion from Frank Robbins Jr., and he wants to know our take on languages, focusing mainly on the fact that he doesn't like the idea of common being the human language, and that humans don't have, because of that, they don't seem to have their own culture. So I know in other games that I've played in, and even things with you, humans had different dialects, and you had a merchant tongue or a trade tongue or something along those lines.
Yeah, generally how it's been done in the past is, you have regional dialects, and then there was a common trade tongue that everyone used to interact with each other. Now, granted, you could bring that back to your game and put it in as an option if you want it. So here's the thing, I guess one of the reasons it's taken out, because while it adds depth to the world that you're playing in,
it adds depth, and it makes it more real, more like where we live.
But at the same time, it adds extra complications. Like, do you really want to spend your a good portion of sessions trying to communicate with people that speak different languages than you, and having to figure out how you're going to convey information back and forth, or do you just want to play the game?
I've been in a game where there was no common tongue. Everyone had the languages from their area, plus whatever their character was allowed to actually get. And there were times where, in order for me to talk to the person on my left, I had to talk to the person in front of me, who talked to the person next to her, and then that person talked to the person on my left.
And they should have totally did the whispers down the lane thing.
I mean, if you really want to go crazy with it, you can do the pass a note, or whisper in the ear, and try to get that more realistic feel, and try to see if over the course of all that communication
it's conveyed,
is the message properly conveyed. And that would make it more interesting. But how many times can you do something like this? I ran an entire campaign that's the way things went. So it made it very difficult.
The novelty wears off. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yeah, the novelty does wear thin, does get pretty boring pretty quickly, because it's more about the role playing. And if there's a constant language barrier, then you're being held back by that mechanical crutch, and I don't feel that adds to the game. I think it's a detractor.
Yeah, even certain races might speak different dialects. Now, I do feel like at least the longer-lived races probably kind of speak the same language, and it stays the same, just because of the tradition is so strong amongst those races.
So, I would say, Elven, Dwarven, Draconic are rock-solid languages.
Yeah, there might be different slang or terminology, but essentially you can talk to each other.
Yeah, you could do that, and every once in a while it's like, I don't understand what you're trying to say there.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be in every session. It's not going to be every conversation. Whereas if you're trying to say, okay, well, these two people are talking, and you're only getting every other word. Okay, well, that makes it challenging.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a culture that their dialect of common is so off that you're not getting it, sure, go for it. And you add a role playing challenge to that locale.
Well, and here's a couple of things. One is, as a GM, yes, you could add regional tongues, and an alternative to what we were just discussing would be to just make them bonus languages that you give to people from those regions in addition to whatever they get. Most large cities, I would say, the people that are doing business speak the trade tongue. There might be residents that might not, but the further away you get from civilization, the less the trade tongue is going to get used, and they're going to use regional dialects. And it just comes a matter of how much do you want to really deal with that in your game? While yes, it does add breadth and depth to the campaign world, Is that what you consider fun for a gaming session? Is, trying to play charades and figure out who wants what and what you're trying to say to somebody.
And I will say, for a session, getting through that role-playing challenge is interesting. And when you've got in that particular group, there was a ridiculous number of people in the game. I think it was a total of 13 of us. It was amusing, but after that wears off, you're into the second, third, fourth session tops, and it's like, all right, have we figured out a way to deal with
better,
this?
yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I don't want to play charades.
I see certain players dealing with NPCs, like after a handful of sessions of this, they're just lopping their heads off until someone learns the trade tongue because they're tired of trying to play charades.
It's possible, and there were people that were definitely in that game that they weren't a face character at all. It was like, all right, this is too frustrating. Yeah, I'll do that.
Forget this. So, it begs to differ, like, how much does it add to your game? How would you do it? I think the best way is the alternate route of going, instead of, like, making it the only thing, making it, adding on to the system and making common, a trade common tongue, and then you have regional dialects that become bonus languages for, for humans especially. But also, like, if there's dwarves and elves and they're in a certain region and they share it with humans and there's a regional dialect, you might want to give it to them as well. Mm-hmm. And again, in large cities, a lot of people probably do speak the trade tongue. And maybe there are certain places where that is all they speak. Mm-hmm. Just because it's such a hodgepodge of different cultures and ethnicities, it's been adopted as the core language. Maybe some others speak different languages as well. But primarily, that's the language spoken, So you could do it that way, and that would add. I think that would add the depth and culture to your game that you're looking for, without making a huge burden on the players.
Without putting this massive role-playing crutch that are going to create limitations that the players are going to get annoyed with.
Although everyone takes ritual caster just so they can have comprehend languages. I mean, enough of this already. They're all blowing at feet, whatever it takes, taking a level wizard. I am not playing charades ever again.
Wow.
There's one solution.
It's a pretty hefty.
Again, like we said, if they go out to more remote areas where they only speak a regional dialect, yeah, then you could be like, oh, well, you don't speak that dialect, so you're gonna have to figure something out for a session. That might be fun, but
yes,
more than that, it could be kind of annoying. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. How do you handle it? Do you use regional dialects, or does everyone just speak common? While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can support us over on Patreon.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.